Behold, the Kaimais, over there, in the distance. That little range there. Yesterday we went for a little fly along the Kaimais and got into a spot of bother. We ended up getting low out over the swamp. This video picks up from when we turn around and realise that our cloud street that we came out on is disintegrated, and we're going to get back quite low and try and make our way south back towards Matamata. Oh, hang on. We just got to throw this manky toy for the dog. Yummy. Well, that didn't go very well, eh? Didn't really gain much while I was out there. Just a bit of buoyancy here, but I lost it. Where has it gone? Might be screwed. Might have to start my engine to get back over onto the ridge. There was a line here, but it's disintegrating pretty quickly. Well, at least this is more interesting now. It's only 6 knots of wind, so that's not enough to do anything useful on the ridge. We need a bit of a thermal or convergence or something. As you can see, it's buoyant around here. It's buoyant. 2 knots there. That's all I need. Look at that view. That's stunning, isn't it? Problem is, 2 knots doesn't last all the way around. It's only a little narrow band, I think. But hey, we've gained a bit of height. Oh well, let's get over onto the ridge. You never know, we might get a bit of a thermal plus a bit of ridge. It's only 10 knots of wind, so not a lot, but it might be enough just to keep us aloft. There's a word we don't use often enough. And look at all the water down here. That is wet. I want to make sure we're not landing anywhere near this wet ground, because might not be able to get a trailer in there or anything. Anyway, I'm sure it won't come to that. You never know. Right, here we are, 1400 feet, arriving on the slopes of the Te Aroha spur. There will be a wind farm here eventually, so we need to do this while we can. Problem with the spur is there's lots of ridges going in and out. It's not a nice flat ridge, so the lift on here is not great. But it's often enough just to get you onto the main ridge. There we go, 1300 feet. A bit of lift, a bit of pressure there, keep us in the air. We'll get over onto this main ridge and see how that's working. Alright, we'll come onto here. No mucking around, get straight onto the ridge. We're not very high, so we'll have to stay at the front unfortunately, which again is more ridgy rather than flat. The problem is the wind can just go around these ridges rather than being forced up them. But there'll be a bit of something here. What are we down to? 1200 feet. Oh, look at that. A weather station up here. Alright, we'll just do a turn or two here to gain an extra 100 feet. Oh, you see we come off the ridge and boom, it disappears. I am 1300 feet. I'm going up. I'm going to do this bit again, this little ridge here, just because The wind's very good at wrapping around the Mount Te Aroha, which I'm about to go around, so if I can just get a little higher here, it'll just help. Every bit helps. The wind gets stronger as you get higher, so if you've got to climb, you might as well just use a bit of it. Maybe it was just a bit of thermal going up, I'm not sure. Excellent. Alright, let's continue. There's a extra couple of 100 feet. We're not going too fast, just maintaining our altitude as much as we can. 65 knots or so. I want to get onto this face next. This is a nice little bowl in here that kind of works no matter what the wind direction. If the wind's too southerly, getting over this can be really rough in behind here. So I don't go too close to those slopes, come around it like that. Just a little bit of distance is nice. Oh, so there's a bit of sink in the lee of the hill there. There we go. And then on this side it should be good. Oomph. And or not. Comes a bit. Oh, let's get on Te Aroha and just keep on trucking. We're not losing too much height. My wind indicator says 16 knots, so that's pretty good. If it was 10 or below, I'd be a bit more worried. I've landed at the racecourse just down here a couple of times. Okay, 3 or 4 times. Because days like this, you get caught out. Low wind, down low. Up high, it's working great, but down low, it's not. I'm always happy if I can get over these trees here. I don't think I will right now. We'll just go around that. Eight knots of wind. Now this is where having an 18 metre glider helps, because if I was in a 15 metre glider, I would be in a lot of trouble. What have we got? Wind's dropped to 7 knots around here. That's not good. Not good at all. Alright, well, we'll get off Te Aroha. This is not working well, which it often does not. Head over onto these slopes in front of us, which this bowl here catches the wind much better, and there's nowhere else for the wind to go. It can't go around. Mount Te Aroha is quite a like a classic mountain shape, so the wind can wrap around it quite often, which it is, I think, doing right now. Which is why there's only 7 knots horizontal wind. Go along here, these little bits here, and see what we can get. We're only 800 feet above the ground now. It's where decision making becomes quite critical.
Bridge traffic, glider X-ray Papa. Golf ball 2600 northbound.
Oh, and I need to go the loop. It all happens at once. There's a cloud up above here, so we'll try this little knob here, and if that doesn't work, hopefully we can just gain 100 feet here, then we can jump over onto these next ridges, which are much more likely to work, especially where there's a street arriving on them. 12 knots of wind. The wind's picked up a fraction as we come down this way. just maintaining height. If we come in under here onto these ridges, should be even better. Got a little bit of speed on, 60 knots. Don't want to go too slow unnecessarily. Alright, these slopes are working a fraction better. Still only 8 knots of wind. Still 1,000 feet. Just maintain height, just keep going. Keep the yaw string straight. The slope often works well. Slow down a fraction here. Gained 100 feet, that's good. I'll just keep trucking along here, don't get too slow. Tuck into the hill a bit. Go to flap 2. I think it's very gentle in here. We can go to a higher flap setting.
This is traffic flight to Delta Romeo, Mount Te Aroha, 3100, turning southbound.
Sorry, a bit quiet. Say again.
Looks a bit slim down there.
Yeah, well, it's better now we're on the main ridges. God, Te Aroha was not good at all.
No, it wasn't for me either. Just a month.
Alright, now I'm pretty safe here. I'm going to use the facilities. Please excuse me. Oh, can't see many of the trees moving. It says there's 18 knots of wind. Okay, we're on the main part of the ridge now and going up nicely. So I guess that's really the lesson, is sometimes you're low, you're in a place you can't climb, but you can just keep going and you're not losing much height. Get out of that problem area and get to somewhere better. Now, it's a tough judgment call because you might be losing height very slowly as you go, like I was. I started off 1,500 feet, around 1,300, around the northern slopes of Te Aroha, and then as we trekked south we're down to 1,200, then 1,100, then 1,000. But once we got to 1,000 it levelled off, and I managed to, the wind started picking up a little bit as we headed south. Not much, just enough. And as we got south it gets better and better. Now we're up to 1,300 feet. Still only light winds, but we're about to get to the nursery slopes, which are a nice flat piece, angled like this. There's nowhere for the wind to go but up. So we'll go onto that and up we go. It's hard to climb on bits like this because the wind can go up in through the ridges. You want a nice flat piece. Here's the piece that's called the nursery slopes. You can see as we come in here we'll be climbing. Great slopes here for catching the wind. slow down a bit to really take advantage of it. Up we go. Well, I think we all learned a lesson or two from that video, and the lesson is buy a Ventus 18 metre glider. Lovely. But no, seriously, the key lesson I want to get across is sometimes you won't be in lift, but you might be in enough good air to get you out of that area to go and find some actual lift. And this was a good example of that. I knew as I headed south, the wind would pick up, the ridge gets better, things would improve. But it's a really tough call, especially on low ridges. Making that decision, have conditions deteriorated too much? Am I actually going to end up having to land in a paddock? And the problem is, because the ridge is so low, you don't have much time to make that decision. So you've really got to be on the ball and make that decision as early as you can. So what do you think? What would you have done? Would you have continued along the ridge? So add your comments below if you've got any thoughts, and go through and read the other comments. There's lots of really interesting insights from other glider pilots and other thoughts from people who have some interesting ideas sometimes. All right, catch you next time. Bye.